Thanks for tuning in to another episode of All Things Entrepreneur. I am your co-host, Jessica Myers, with...
Your co-host, Errol J. Allen.
And here we shine the light on the blind side of entrepreneurship.
How you doing today?
I'm feeling pretty good. It's been a crazy year, but a crazy week, but we're here. How you feeling?
I'm doing good. I'm actually getting through a lot of stuff when it comes to my personal midterm rental arbitrages and all that stuff. So a lot of headways being made.
Yeah.
So
Well, I know one thing that will help it is getting money, getting to the bag.
And ain't no other way to get to the bag than the Wanzo Way.
That's the way. The way is the Wanzo Way.
How you doing today, Andre?
Good. How are you all? Thank you for having me, by the way.
Of course. And we're doing great. I mean, can't complain. 2025 is off to a great start. Obviously, there's been some interesting things that have happened so far, and there's so much more of the year to go. So
yeah, because I think the biggest thing is people are concerned about financial security. Is even for entrepreneurs, they're like, "Hey, y'all, go get a job." But then people on jobs are getting laid off. So it's like, what do we do to get the money, get the bag? And that's how do we find out the Wanzo Way?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of struggles coming along in 2025, especially with the new administration in place. You know, they're eliminating a lot of things, especially to come to certain people of certain color, as we are aware of that, right? And so we have to learn how to construct and strategize in a way that's going to make us still be successful in our journey of what we want to do. So we always got to recognize what we want to do, how we want to do it, and who we want to do it with. Those are some of the core things you always have to value, right? A lot of people are here lost because they might have a 9-to-5 and they want to be an entrepreneur, but they just don't know where to start. It's not that we don't want to do better. We just don't know how to do better. And that's when people like myself come into place to help you gain the knowledge and the structure that you need in order to guide you in the next direction. So I tell a lot of people, if you don't know what you would like to do, then figure out what you would do for free.
Yeah.
See, if you learn what you would do for free, then that way you'll be doing something and also enjoying it while you're getting paid.
Yeah.
Right?
Because we call it the Wanzo Way. But what is it that you help people do and guide them to?
Well, one thing I help them do is learn how to have trust in themselves and believe in themselves, right? Because if don't nobody believe in you, who's supposed to, right? So once we have that type of relationship established, then we go into the part of what are you comfortable doing? What do you see yourself in the next 5 years? But also understand the challenges that we're looking at in today's society, right? Because you have to be able to adjust as things move along, especially in the financial space. Back, 15 years ago, we didn't have crypto that I can remember, right? Now crypto is creeping in on the backside, or already here, I should say, with banks and financial institutions. You know how many of us are not financial literacy when it comes to crypto? That's including myself at this time, by the way, right? But I do have financial literacy when it just comes to money, period, right? And so that's the key, right? So you have to understand that, money's going to be one of the key components to open up a lot of different doors for you. But how do you get the money? Well, the first thing you have to do is educate your mind. That's why I opened up a mentorship. I have the Wanzo Way mentorship that shows you the constructive way of actually looking at your personal credit with structure and strategy, looking at your business credit with structure and strategy, learning how to build funding to both your personal and your business, and then how to elevate that into real estate so you can have residual income coming in after you acquire the money. So the Wanzo Way is there to be creative for certain people with certain situations, right? We don't have what you call a blueprint like everybody else says. They say, I got the blueprint to this, I got the blueprint to that. No, I'm not a blueprint type of guy. I'm a situational type of guy. Like I was explaining to you guys, one young lady earlier, how long does a business have to be established in order for it to get funded? Because, by most states and by most financial institutions, they require you to have at least 2 years registered with the state. Well, doing it the Wanzo Way, sometimes you get around that, right? So I showed one couple that was dire straight for funding, that they wanted to get some business funding, and unfortunately, the husband had some challenges with his credit report, but he had the company that was registered for 2 years already with the state, and he had a high utilization. I said, well, what about your wife? Can we use her and put her on the credit report? And not on the credit report, but on the operation agreement, right? Because if she's on the operation agreement, what we would do is to make her 80% ownership of the actual company and make him 20% owner of the company. And the reason for that is because when you're only 20% ownership of the company, you don't have to show any type of documentation. They're not going to pull your credit report. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so now she is the primary person that they're going to look at. Unfortunately, the amount of time that we had to do that didn't fall in line with when they needed the money. So we had to find another avenue to go now. I said, well, give me about 2 hours and let me figure something out. So I said, hey, I got an idea. I said, your wife has a business, right? He says, yes. I said, well, how long has she been in business? He said, she's been doing it for about 5-6 years. I said, okay. Well, is her business registered with the state? Well, she just registered 6 months ago. Okay. But she's been in that line of business for 6 years, right? I said, yes. Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's do this. Have her give me 90 days of bank statements, right? I'll take that to the underwriter and help him understand that she has already been in this line of business over a period of years, but she just registered the business with the state this year. Now, why that's important? Because they want to make sure that you're not just trying to walk into a business that you're trying to start and fail, and then they give you money, right? So if you at least register with the register with the state for 2 years and you have 2 years of financial statements, it shows what you call a trend line. It shows your ups, your downs, your valleys and your peaks, right? So it showed that she had a consistent deposit coming into her bank account for the business. So they actually ended up giving her $160,000.
Oh, wow.
So that's why I say that's not a blueprint, right? That's a situational type of situation.
Yeah.
Right. You have to figure it out. You have to be creative with things, right? Especially when it comes to funding.
Yeah.
So obviously, starting off again, people will see the 1 minute clicks on social media. I got 90K in 60 days or 300K. But what do you say, like, when it comes to, tapping into the space of business funding, business credit? What are some ground things you have to have established starting off? That way you can be in a position to, see some business funding.
Well, for the client, they need to understand that their personal credit is actually going to be the financial door opener for any type of business funding. Mm-hmm. No financial institution is going to actually allow you to get business funding if you're not taking care of your personal credit. It just don't make sense. If you're not going to actually take care of your personal finances, then what makes you think you're going to take care of your business finances, right? Which makes a lot of sense, right? Because you're going to pay your mortgage before you pay your your rent for your commercial property, if it comes down to it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they need to understand who they're dealing with. That's why what you call a personal guarantor, right? A personal guarantor is a person that's going to actually sign for the business, although the credit that you may receive will not reflect on your personal credit report, but to give you the money on the business side, you're the actual responsible party, right? So they can't do that if, in fact, your personal credit is trash, right? They need to understand who they're dealing with. Because keep in mind that credit itself is no more than a report card of how you deal with your finances. That's all it is, right? And it actually has grades. You hear people talking about, hey, I need an 850. No, you don't. No, you don't. All right? Because all those scores fall within a range. And within that range it's an A, a B, a C, a D, a E, a F. Just like anything else, right? It's just like a report. It's just like when you get a grade from the teacher, right? And you got a B minus. Well, you got a B minus because you're on the 85%, right? But if you had 86, then you'd be plus.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
it's no longer C's get degrees.
Yeah. So it's kind of like the same thing with credit, right? So people be like, well, I need a 950. Well, they don't even have a 950, first of all. That's what your education is lacking at, right? They need to understand where they need to fall at in order to qualify for certain things. So to answer your question, Errol, is that you need to educate your mind first. Understand how things work. That's how you defeat them, right? If you can't understand how something works, how are you supposed to defeat it? Does that make sense? So
if someone does have a bad credit profile, what can they do? Or is it just, you sit to the side until you get a better grade, like you go to tutorial until you get a good grade?
No, I mean, you work on your credit, right? And either you're going to work on it or you're going to have somebody else to work on it. But you have to have some type of progression to what you're doing. Now, me personally, because we didn't talk about, because I know you wanted to talk about my background and stuff like that. I used to actually be a architect and an engineer, an architect, and then I could turn into an enterprise architect. An enterprise architect is one of the highest levels of architecture in technology. There's nothing higher. That was me, okay? So I'm a logical thinker, and I understand how things have to take place. It's a process with everything, right? So people have to understand that process is applicable to everyday life, right? Even when it comes to your credit. So it doesn't make any sense for you to have somebody to do your credit and you don't even understand what they're talking to you about. Why they're talking foreign language to you, right? It happens all the time when we go into another industry and somebody's talking about photography. I'm like, yeah, just click the button. They go, no, you need the temperature, you need the, the brightness and the contrast, and I'm like, bro, I don't know all that. You know what I mean? Just take the picture.
Yeah.
So you have to understand the language that you're talking, and if it's important to you, you're gonna learn it, right? So you have to learn what your priorities are. So it's always best to educate your mind in whatever you're doing. Now, you don't have to be a master of it, but just at least be on a somewhat level where you can digest the information.
Yeah.
Right?
Would you say be smart enough to be dangerous?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does that make sense to you guys?
Oh, yeah.
So you start off with learning, right? Understand what a credit report looks like. Understand what's on the credit report. I did a couple of lives about credit, right? And one of the things I discovered when I was actually doing my studies is that there's something called the last date of activity, okay? The last day of activity is the last time that you actually paid on a bill. Now, a lot of people don't know that that's an error that can be on your credit report, right? Because if you never paid on a bill after, say, like January the 1st, but it's still reporting a date as May or February after January, well, that's an error because there were no transactions going on after that time. So you're manifesting the truth. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so you have to be understanding of things of that nature. Something so small can remove a negative account off your credit report. You get what I'm saying?
Because the whole, like, if it's a lie, it's a lie.
Yeah. Because, see.
Or misinformation, I'll say.
What you said, if it's a lie, right?
Yeah.
So, say, for example, when somebody removes something off a credit report, right? Say, like, you got 3 credit bureaus. You got Experian, you got Equifax, and you got TransUnion.
That we know about.
And it's a couple more, but those are the names, right? And so, if you have an account that's moved off of one of those, just one, let alone 2, it's supposed to be equal across the board. So if TransUnion deleted it, and Equifax and Experian still have it, somebody's lying. You see what I'm saying? Because they saying that was deleted, it wasn't accurate. You saying that it is. That right there can get all your accounts wiped.
But from what I understood about credit, and you're the expert, is that those 3 are the ones that we actually see, and that's what I meant by what we know about, but they're actually reporting from LexisNexis and like 3 other ones that they get their information from.
No, so LexisNexis really gives you third-party information, especially when it comes to like bankruptcy and stuff like that, right? What happens is that account holders, so you have what you call a data furnisher. A data furnisher is any creditor that reports to the credit bureau, right? So they have a relationship. It goes to a system called Metro too, right? And they send that information directly to the actual bureaus, right? So LexisNexis is not involved in that process because they don't have to be. But LexisNexis does hold a lot of information about you personally, where you lived, you got any traffic tickets. They look at that for your insurance. LexisNexis holds a lot of information, but you can actually block LexisNexis report, right, to stop people from gathering that information. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, even bankruptcy itself comes through LexisNexis, but LexisNexis get that from a database called PACES, okay? Because the courts doesn't actually respond or actually have any type of interaction with the credit bureaus. So they go fish that information out, which is actually a violation of your privacy. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's so many things that I know about credit, to help people get out of those situations, right? And you just have to educate your mind. Now you get what I'm saying when I say educate your mind, right? Because it'll help, even if you just educate your mind and you're not doing the work, you can actually catch somebody in a lie. If they said they did this to your credit report, or, you know what I'm saying? And they did this and they did, okay, well, what a letter to the court saying that, asking for a response, see if they actually report to the credit bureaus. But you can't do that if you don't know,
Yeah.
right? So the education is going to be the key component to helping you digest, recognize, and elevate to the next level of the game all across the board.
So how did you, obviously you parlayed it into many things. You got the education first, but then what did you do once you started getting personally for yourself big lines? How did you parlay that into more success and more things? What did you do?
In regards to obtaining business funding?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what I did was I understood how my profile needed to look.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I understood how my business profile needed to look. And I didn't apply for anything. I waited. Actually, what I did was I created the Wanzo Way structure. So I said, let me figure this out. I said,
Yeah, you're a scientist.
I want to get a business card, right? But this business card is going to be like about 6 figures, right? So you always get your biggest purchase first, right? Because when you get your biggest purchase first, then what's going to happen is that's not going to show up for at least about 30, 45 days, okay? Now, if I'm going to get my biggest purchase, what's my next steps in regards to funding? Okay, well, here's my strategy. Who can I get business funding from that's not going to request me to have inquiries on my credit report? Fintech banks. Okay, you go to a fintech bank, most fintech banks don't request you to have a hard pull on your credit report. So I went to 2 fintech banks, and I got over 6 figures from them. No inquiries on my credit report. Now you got to keep in mind, we got 3 credit bureaus, right? The most amount of inquiries you want to have on there at any point in time is 5. I'm going to tell you guys, I acquired a lot and never had 10. Mm-hmm. And I've never deleted any inquiries off my credit report. Okay? So now, you got the fintech bank, you got over 6 figures from there, right? Okay. So now, we say, well, where can I go where I can acquire products from the bank with one inquiry with multiple products? So, like the banks I was talking about earlier when you was at the podcast, right? Mm-hmm. Some banks will allow you to access multiple products for up to 30 days with one inquiry. So if a bank has, I'm going to give you a small example. So if a bank has 4 business cards, right, and they did one credit pull, well, I can apply for all 4 of those cards. So if each one of those cards are $25,000 a piece, or even 50, but let's put that 25. It's $25,000 a piece. That's another $100,000. You got one inquiry. Now keep in mind, we already got 6 figures off the fintech banks. So you're over $200,000 already.
Yeah.
And you got the business car. It's over $300,000 already. You get what I'm saying? So we got an inquiry for the business card. Don't get it twisted, right? So we got 2 inquiries, but we over $300,000 in assets and actual money. Now we can look at what banks are going to give me the opportunity to get multiple products. I mean products with just one inquiry, but it's going to give me a bigger bag.
Yeah.
So you got to understand what banks are going to do that. That's why I keep saying the education piece and the structure and the strategy is very important.
Yeah, because what most people say is, go here, get 10 here, get 9 there, get 5 there, and then just wipe all those inquiries off. You're saying, no, let me look into these ecosystems, see how many financial products this bank offers off of my one inquiry, and then run that up. Exactly. You're extracting the most by doing the least.
Right. Understand the products that each financial institution has to offer, right? Because you got different levels of banking, which people don't understand that, right? You got a community bank, you got a regional bank, you got credit unions,
fintech,
national bank, and then you got a fintech bank, right? Okay, so those banks all offer different products. Some of those banks offer equipment loans, some don't. Like a Bank of America doesn't offer lines of credit, but you can go get a business vehicle there. You get what I'm saying? So you have to know where to go, why to go, and what you're going for, because that's going to help you identify which financial institution is going to be relevant to what you're trying to do. So what I do in the Wanzo Way, I put together a game plan and a strategy that's just designed for you. It's not a blueprint. I analyze what you already have and what you don't have. If some things that we need to adjust in regards to your personal credit profile or your business profile, we need to do that. most of the time you want to already establish your business credit score, which is a paydex score. You only need 5 accounts to do that. And then you only need a 80 paydex score. You don't need 100, 200, and all that. Ain't no 200 anyway. I'm just being naughty. But I'm just saying, you don't need, all you need is 80, right? Once you hit the 80 mark, then you're ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
There's not going to be too many questions that's going to be asked. So if you're powerful on the personal side and you're powerful on the business side, not too many places want to deny you, because banks are not into the business of holding on to money. They're into business of lending it out.
Yes.
So therefore, they're looking for you, him, myself. They look for everybody they can give it to. You just got to be in position to accept the bag when they give it to you.
Yeah.
And that's going to come down to how your profile is designed.
Yeah.
That make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
I hope I summed it up for you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, perfectly. So you mentioned that you were in architecture and, you're on the tech side. What was the transition to get into this side? Like, what happened in your life on your vision and your mission statement that caused you to shift?
Well, it was something that happened in my life a long time ago that made me have to understand credit itself, right? One thing I noticed is that every time I wanted to apply for something, because they didn't teach us financial literacy when we were younger. But every time I went to apply for something, it was like, credit. What's credit?
Yeah.
It's like, credit. What's that? They're like, we got to run your credit. I'm like, run it, right? Not knowing that it's like a 400 or something, because I ain't got nothing on there or something like that. Or, you just don't know what it is, right? So it kept on popping up, and I'm like, okay, well, I need to learn this. So I started learning it, right? And then once I started learning it, I said, oh, okay, this credit has power, right? It has power, so I need to understand it, right? So during the course of being an architect and an engineer and then enterprise architect, is that I was able to look at what I was making as an architect, which wasn't a small chunk of change, and take that opportunity to develop some of the skills I had logically and understand and digest credit, right? And then make that applicable to how I can actually run up a revenue, right? What I used to make as an architect, sometimes I make that in a month, sometimes I might make that in a couple of weeks. It just depends on what's going on, right? And so what made me change was because I got tired of really working for people. Mm-hmm. I liked my freedom. And so I wanted to always be free of anybody, asking me, what time I'm coming in, how long you gonna be. It's January to my when your vacation. You gotta give me your vacation day. In January?
For the year.
In January. I don't know when I'm going. Do you know when you're going? Because I don't know when I'm going.
Because I want to wake up tomorrow and go.
Yeah, what if I don't feel like I'm like, you know what? Y'all stressing me out. I'm out. I don't have that opportunity with you, do I? So, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start to understand how to build out my own future, how to build out my own schedule, how to run my own life, right? If I want a raise, I give myself a raise.
Yep.
Because it's my company.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what pushed me into the financial space. But then once I learned to how to utilize money on multiple levels and how beneficial that can be with education, just open the doors. There was times where when I was dealing with credit that I had a lot of different things going on. Right now I have Chef Corps, okay? Authorized users, trade lines. When I say trade lines, I'm talking about primary trade lines, right? I have the ability for you to actually get your, you can conversate with me about credit. I will tell you what to do instruction-wise, but I'm not going to do it. See what I'm saying? So I will actually give you a discovery call, right? And so those are some of the products and stuff that I have along with the actual ability to get you funding, right? So you have all these products that gives you the ability to make money on all different levels, many different ways. If you never make no money on Monday doing having consultation calls, but then you have a whole mentorship somebody just bought for $7,500, right? You get 3 or 4 of them to come in a week, you're kind of doing good.
Yeah.
Along on top of selling authorized users in addition to primary trade lines, right? To build up somebody's credit. Because a lot of people have weak credit profiles that need to be built up. And they have to understand that there's a difference between credit repair and credit building.
What's the difference?
Credit repair is, say, for example, if you have 5 accounts on your credit report and 3 of them are negative, and we get the 3 off, then your credit is repaired. It's back in good shape. But now you don't have nothing on there, barely.
So you got to rebuild it.
So now you got to add positive trade lines on there and primary trade lines to make you look like your credit worthiness. So that is the difference, right? And that's important.
So are any of these conditions impacted by the political climate or what's going on? Like where they talk about money moving and things like in the markets. Are any of these things affected by it?
Absolutely. So when you're talking about money, period, you have to understand that a lot of people are paying a lot of high interest rates, right? And that's because of the prime rate with the government, right? Banks get money from the government, and then banks put points on top of that. A lot of people don't know that, right? So if the actual prime rate goes down, then interest rates goes down. If the prime rate goes up, the interest rates goes up. So you have to know what you're doing, when you're doing it, why you're doing it. Because, like, if you was going to get a product, right, and you was into real estate, like myself, Errol, right, and you went to go get, you had a choice between a loan and a line of credit. Well, which one do you get? They both money.
Line of credit.
Okay. But if you get a line of credit, why would you get a line of credit? You need to understand why.
Because a line of credit, at least when I pay it back, is still there. Versus a loan, like you pay off your car, it's like, thank you. But at least if I, like you said, if you got your business car or through a line of credit or something like that, at least, you know, that amount of money once paid back, I can still have access to.
Okay. Well, keep in mind that you have what you call an installment and revolving. A line of credit is revolving. An installment is something that don't change. So if you got a line of credit, that changes with the prime rate.
Oh, okay.
But if you have a loan,
Didn't think about that. Didn't think about that.
But once you pay it back, you don't only have access to it, do you?
Missing the point. You're saving money.
Okay.
You have a loan, you're locked into a rate that doesn't change.
Yep, yeah.
Your rate changes with a line of credit. It's revolving. See?
But it's on what you borrow.
What's that?
It's on what you borrow, though. Obviously, if you don't use none of it and you kind of just bide your time, you can wait until times are better to then borrow against that and then pay the new prime rate, whatever it is at that time you borrowed against it.
Yeah, it's going to fluctuate, period, right?
Yeah.
No matter what you're doing, my point to you is that I want you to understand that installment doesn't change. It stays the same, right? Like, for example, people that got the houses or the mortgage rate when we was in COVID, 2%, no percent. You understand what I'm saying?
Ooh, those are good times. I refinanced my house.
I know. Can we go back?
Like, so those rates, you can't change. But if you got an ARM, adjustable rate, that changes.
Oh, so that's where you receive the letter from the credit card company like, we said 19 to 24%, so now we're 24%.
Well, ARM is basically for real estate, but the credit card always adjusts regardless. It's based upon prime rate. There's no locked in with credit cards. This is the highest I've ever seen credit cards, over 20%, almost 30%. It's just crazy. You know, you're paying almost double. I mean, You're paying double, if not more than double.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why you have to kind of keep your credit cards at a limit and very low, right? Did I answer your question?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So when you're starting off, most people want to obviously see the clips on social media about personal credit, business credit, all that stuff. When you're starting off, what do you say for beginners? They need to have affairs and orders past the personal credit. What do they need to account for or look for past just personal credit?
Past the personal credit?
Yeah, past the personal credit.
What they need to look for in regards to how to structure the business side of it?
Mm-hmm.
What do they need to look for? This is some of the red flags they need to look for and understand, right? There's certain industries that's actually red flagged in banking institutions. Mm-hmm. One is real estate, okay? It is, right? Another one is trucking, right? So you want to look and understand and look for the list of companies that financial institutions look at as challenging and are not willing to accept. Because, see, what I teach people is that if you build out a business, never tell what that business actually does. Example, the Wanzo Way.
You can't tell what it does.
You don't know what the hell that is. You don't know. You got to ask me. Now you're gonna get it off the the SIC code. You can see at least what category I'm in, but you have to ask, right? But if I say the Wanzo Way trucking, well, you just gave it away right there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you always name it something that's general where they don't understand, and then you have to explain it to them, right?
So what if, my bad, I didn't mean to cut you off. What
Go
if they had a company already that's 5 years, business profile is great, but it's called Legacy Properties. Now, obviously, real estate's a red flag, but it's a strong portfolio profile. What do you do now? The Wanzo Way?
Well, I told you I was situational, right?
Yep.
So I'd had plenty of those scenarios. So I'll tell you what I do. Because it's real estate, you have to say that you don't invest in properties. You don't buy properties, but you teach people how to buy properties.
Consulting.
Somewhat. Never use the word consultant in the banking industry. It's burnt out. Okay? That's another one.
So I guess it's like a revolving door when it comes to what they accept and don't accept. Because I remember there's a time when consulting was accepted.
A lot of things, it's been times where a lot of things were accepted. Right?
Yeah.
And then that's why I said you have to adjust with the environment.
Yeah, that's why I was like, you got to stay tapped in.
Yeah, and that's why they call it trends, right? Those trends go away. They come and they go away, right? But when you're in a situation, I give you an example. Like a guy had a rental car business, like here, right? He had a rental car business, right? And the bank was like, man, they ain't doing that. I said, yes, they are. He said, well, what you gonna do? I said, tell them that he's an instructor that shows people how to build out a rental car business. He doesn't actually rent out the cars. Went right through. So that's why I say I'm situational, right? I try to figure it out for you. I try to help you understand, different ways to weed through it.
I just be so, because it's like, there's a difference between a trash guy and a sanitary technician. It's like, they're the same thing, but the presentation is the presentation.
Yeah, so. And underwriters, they look for certain things, right? They're going to look for things that just make them uncomfortable, right? And a lot of people don't understand, too, that when you're applying for certain funding, like especially say for like $300K, they look at your criminal background history. So if you got a criminal background history, they question that sometimes because they don't want to be giving a lot of money to a drug dealer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And saying that that's where they got the money from.
Yeah.
So they need to be mindful of that. But one way to block that is to cut off LexisNexis and some other databases as well, like CoreLogic. Some of those databases carry that information. Always keep in mind that where they get this information from is always third parties, and those third parties have the ability for you to block them.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, I don't want to get too case sensitive, but if you're able to, if not, just double knocking the table, how would you block that stuff?
What?
LexisNexis and CoreLogic. So
like he said, it's illegal for them to be reporting your information in the first place.
That is true, but it's still being done on a massive scale. So
go right to their site. It's not nothing sneaky you have to do.
Okay.
They have to legally give you the ability to do it. So here's the thing, right? So why is it that at one point LexisNexis only allowed you to block your information for 12 months? Why? Why do I only get to block my information for 12 months? Why is that a restriction? I didn't ask you to put it out there in the first place.
Yeah.
It's not for the benefit of you, it's for the benefit of them. What we have to understand is that information is powerful. It's for sale, right? That's all information. How do you think banks find leads? Do you know what a soft pull versus a hard pull is?
No.
Okay. A soft pull inquiry, right? A soft pull is an inquiry, right? But it doesn't impact your credit score.
Yeah.
A hard pull is an inquiry, and it impacts your credit score. A hard pull is 3 points, okay? So if you apply for 3 loans, then you got 9 points that's going to come off your credit report, okay? But if, in fact, your credit score is below 500, then that turns into 7 points. So you got to be mindful of that.
So that's 21 points.
Yeah, so that's dangerous. So a soft pull is done by a number of different companies if you actually take out the time to look at your credit report. It's all the way on the bottom. You see all these companies that's hitting your credit report because they're fishing to see where you're at. They want to see what your credit score is, what your credit profile look like. And if it falls in the category and line of something that they need to offer you, then that's when you start getting the mail to your house. All right. That's
So it's kind of like how we buy
pull.
lead lists for zip codes in real estate. It's like they're buying lead lists for people that may have that certain score.
Yeah. So information is for sale. That's why they have it where it's saying like, hey, I don't want you selling my information. You ever sign something like that?
Yeah.
I don't want you violating my privacy. Don't sell my information because it's for sale. Because they're looking for, okay, well, who are the people with a 650 credit score or less? You know, put that into an Excel spreadsheet, send it over to me.
So is that where you get the pre-approved? Like you've been pre-approved.
Exactly. Exactly.
And they send you that check.
Yeah, they seen that fake check.
Yeah.
Get a boatload of those spammers, man.
Well, your credit profile.
Now, because I be like, they got the card in and everything. It's like all you gotta do is call it. I'm like, shredded.
Yeah,
like
they got the card already. It's like we just need you to activate it. We already set up.
Makes sense.
And one thing I want to tell the audience: never ever get a merchant account loan. That's one of the worst things you could ever get.
Never get a merchant loan.
Never get a merchant loan. Whatever
Find time
you
to
do,
tell me.
figure out something else, but don't do that. That's straight slavery.
Why?
Because the way they changed their interest rates.
Interest rates on a merchant loan is ridiculous.
Oh, I had one. We got one in a bind one time dealing with real estate before COVID was about to hit. I didn't know what was happening, and we needed funds. And literally, he checked off the box. It was like, cool, you don't have to worry about this. You don't have to worry about that. All these things that he said, they sold the loan immediately. And by the time we talked to the next person, they was like, we don't care about that. They were ready to strong arm. And it was like, wait, I thought I was showing them text messages and agreements that I had with the persons clearly asking. And they were like, we are not responsible for what you agreed there. Like, it was a bait and switch. And to your point, I learned that early on. It was like, whoa.
Yeah, just never do a merchant loan. It doesn't make sense.
Yes.
You got too many other avenues that you can go down, especially in real estate. Like, I don't know, it's, real estate, I got so many different plays.
I should have met you years ago.
You guys need to understand what a business purpose loan is. When you get the time to understand that, then you
Business purpose loan.
That's pretty much when you refinance an investment property, that's all they have. They put you in a business purpose loan, then they resell it to like a face service center or what have you.
But do you understand what a business purpose loan is?
No, I don't, but I know that's what they use. That's the product they use.
The thing about the business purpose loan is that, right, it's not applicable to consumer laws.
Yeah.
You're
Because
not giving the loan to you. We're giving it to your business.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no laws that apply to a business purpose loan.
That's why they can have all those. Because I remember when me and my business partner, we refinanced one of our homes, and they didn't have our information down correctly. So we had 6 months free of interest payments on the specific loan. But after month 7, we'd obviously have to start paying it. Month 7, 8, 9, 10 went by, and we never got nothing in the mail for it. And then somehow, some way, they finally got to us.
They tracked y'all down. They're like, wait, we see y'all.
And it was like, yo, you owe $9,000. And I'm like, you have our information down incorrectly on this paper. It's like, that's not a problem. You still have a financial responsibility for this thing, even if the information is incorrect.
I know you're getting a lot of great info, but hold on for 2 seconds.
So as you guys know, me and Jessica, we run the All Things Entrepreneur Show. We have a dope conversation with dope entrepreneurs. But you're probably wondering, how are we able to do this while still running multiple business ventures and doing things? Well, that's why we put together
our ATE podcast starter kit, where it's giving you all the tea of what we do and our systems that we use to streamline the process so that you can get started today.
So if you want to grab a copy of that, just check out the description down below, get your podcast starter kit, and start systemizing, streamlining, and launching your podcast.
Now get back to the information, because I know you're taking notes. You know you got it. Let's get it.
Let's go.
And they didn't have our information down correctly. So we had 6 months free of interest payments on the specific loan. But after month 7, we'd obviously have to start paying it. Month 7, 8, 9, 10 went by, and we never got nothing in the mail for it. And then somehow, some way, they finally got to us.
They tracked y'all down. They're like, wait, we see y'all.
And it was like, yo, you owe $9,000. And I'm like, you have our information down incorrectly on this paper. It's like, that's not a problem. You still have a financial responsibility for this thing. Even if the information is incorrect, you still got to take this. I'm like,
so what happened?
It was a lawsuit.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
I mean, no. So long story short, we settled on stuff, but it wasn't, because we was trying to go like predatory lending and all this other stuff. Like, that means nothing here.
But he's right?
Yeah.
What?
That we should have even though even though they got our information down
Oh,
incorrectly,
so that's why they didn't
it's
send
still,
y'all any notices because
it's
they
still
didn't have y'all
our
information.
responsibility to pay that loan after the 6 months and 7 months.
When you have a binding contract,
yeah,
whatever happens after that
It-
has
they-
nothing to do with anything.
even though they reach out, or if they try to reach out, we don't know. That's not their problem.
So all these companies that are texting me, like, I can get you approved today. Like you said, they're the merchant loans. And I mean, I get so many texts about like that. Are they scams? Because I'm like,
I wouldn't say they're scams, but a guy called me today. He said, "Hey, Wanzo, you qualify for 300,000. You still, you need the money." I said, "Well, if I need the money, I'd have called you. You calling me,
Right?
you know what I mean? Why you calling me?" So if somebody's looking to give you money, more than likely it's not that big. It's not a good deal. People don't call to dish out money. Okay, they just don't.
because I was like, I got so many texts and they're like, we're looking to give away. Like you said, the banks are looking to give away funding. I'm like, am I on the lead list? And
No,
maybe
when I say they're looking to give away funding, they're looking for people to walk in there and request it, not offer it like that. It's a difference, right? If you come in, you say, "Hey, I need a loan." What you need a loan for, right? I need a line of credit. What you need it for, And do you understand? Even understand what you're applying for? Do you know that a loan is for long-term use? That's why the interest rate is lower. Just to let you know, right? A line of credit is for short-term use, right?
like you said, payroll.
Banks
Pay it
don't
back.
want to see a line of credit at a high,
High usage.
ETF.
usage
Right.
for 8-9 months. Because you go back to renew it, they're going to decline you. All right? So they want to see it go up and go down. If you want something for long-term use, you get a loan, right?
Installment loan.
Yeah. But it's all about a strategy, right? It's all about what you're doing at that time. Like if we're in real estate and we got a quick flip and I got something that's a high interest rate, well, I don't really care what the interest rate is because if I got $100,000 I'm going to use on a house and when I flip it out, the ARV is like 210. That's 110 to the good,
Yeah.
minus the fees and stuff that I got to pay, right?
Yeah.
So I'm still going to make out regardless of what the actual APR was on that loan. Doesn't matter. So it's just scenario based. That's why I tell you I'm very situational, right? I might say, "Hey, man, it's 20%. I don't care. We're done in 60 days." You know what I'm saying? And we already got a buyer. Let's go. We ain't got to use our own money, and we going to make some money.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
So somebody gets the bag. They got money in the bank. What has been some of the biggest mess ups you've seen people do after they already got the funding? What's the horror story?
Really
They
wanna
think
ask you that,
the thing that went left now because it's one thing to be qualified, everything on paper, but now money's in hand. What happened? Okay, top two stories because I can see this is striking.
No, it just troubles me, man. Because it's like, people call me. This is the part that really cracks me up. They call me, "I got high utilization. I need to get my utilization now." Oh, what did you do with the money? Where did the money go? What did you do? "Well, I've been on a couple of vacations. I brought my daughter some clothes." Okay, well, the objective of getting money is to make money with money. And whatever you use the money for, let that pay for your daughter's clothes. Let that pay for your vacation. Make sense? Mm-hmm. And so I done seen people just put themselves in bad situations because they want to so-called somewhat live with the Joneses, right? Okay. I'm a very modest guy, right? I don't have to show this and show that and be flashy and all that. Do I like nice things? I do. Don't get it
I can
twisted.
see that. Watch.
But am I going, far and beyond for it? I'm not. I'm not doing it, right? So people will go and buy like Benzes and Jeeps and all this stuff. Then next thing you know, they got 3 cars and they're proud. Okay? You need to understand it's a thing called good debt and bad debt. Okay? If you get something or asset that's making you money, it's good debt. But if you get something that's not making you money, it's bad debt. So if you go buy a Rolls Royce, right? And you're not renting it out, but you're just driving it, but the car knows like $8,500 a month, somebody else could be paying for that.
Yeah.
Or what else could you be doing for that with that $8,500 a month? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's bad debt, right? So you have to understand where you at and where you looking to go? Does it make sense, right? So people don't understand, like, understand your financial position and don't live outside your means. Because one of the worst things you could wake up to is financial stress, which makes you old, kills you. You know, it takes a lot out of you. Because you got to wake up like, man, I don't want to get put out, you know? I don't want to get evicted. I got a family to take care of, you know? When you can wake up in a normal house, knowing that no matter what happens, you still be cool, that's the easiest thing in the world to do. But if you got to have the house in Buckhead or the apartment in Buckhead, because the part that killed me the most, to answer your question, people go get, oh, I live in Buckhead. Okay, that's fine. I got one question for you. What do you own in Buckhead?
Ha! They can tell you what they renting.
You renting it, but what do you own? Because, see, I can go to one of my properties and go pull out $100,000. Can you pull that out of that apartment? No, you're giving somebody $100,000 to live in that apartment for a certain period of time.
You building their equity.
Yep.
That's all you're doing. While you up there busting your butt to pay that rent, they're on the beach, cracking their toes, drinking pina coladas, eating fruit, looking at the blue water crash up against the rocks. You see what I'm saying?
That's why no knock to anybody. But when people will be like, I just want to live in Midtown or in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's what I was like. For
Listen,
what?
when I bought my first house, I had an opportunity. I could have bought a high-rise top floor, like the 8th floor in Midtown, or the spot that I currently bought, which is 3-story townhome.
But you still would have owned a condo versus he's talking about renting.
Condo in a building.
But I mean, you still have ownership.
I like my land and where my 3-story townhome sits.
Because you technically don't own the unit of the townhome.
Yeah, he owned the unit, but he also got a lot of fees he got to deal with, and he's got, you know, rules and regulations he has to actually adapt to, right? So it just depends, right? Some people don't want to deal with the responsibility of home ownership. It's a lot.
That's true.
It's a lot. You got to cut grass. You got to the roof cave in. It's
the
a lot.
HVAC gets stolen.
Yeah, it's a lot.
HVAC don't get stolen. But in investment properties, yes, not in my house.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Investment properties. Oh
not in my house. My HVAC don't get stolen.
They looked at the camera while cutting the cord.
So it's just a lot. It just depends on where you at. Like me, I remember when I first moved to Atlanta, I was staying in this apartment. I'm like, man, I'm not paying this rent to stay in this. I take one step in this apartment, I'm in the whole apartment. Kitchen, living room, bedroom.
Where was it?
Bathroom. It was in where was it at?
Midtown?
Nah, it was up north. It was in
by
Perimeter.
Marietta.
Perimeter Mall.
Sandy's.
Dunwoody.
Dunwoody.
Yeah.
It was in Dunwoody.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is interesting, right?
Oh, that's the corporate living.
But that's when I was just getting to Atlanta, trying to get adapted and, you know, understanding stuff. And I'm like,
I need to move.
I'm like, it's cozy, but you know what I'm saying? You can't hide from nobody in this move.
Where you from?
Ain't no hide go seek going on in here. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio originally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I lived in a couple of different states though. I lived in New York, New Jersey. I moved to Atlanta. And then
How do you go from New York and New Jersey? You talking about a sneeze?
That's true.
That's the same type
New York
of living.
is worse.
Yeah,
New York is way worse.
It's just
I guess you wanted to move down here for space.
I moved to Atlanta because I got allergic to snow. Mm-hmm. I don't like snow. Right, so I just want to go somewhere I'm never going to worry about snow.
You must have been pissed in January.
and then plus down here you had the opportunity to grow, right? Mm-hmm. As the African American community down here is, you know, a lot of them are well off depending on what you're into. So, and I know the city of Cleveland just wasn't a place where I can actually elevate to where I wanted to be. Although I was a dude that stood out in Cleveland, I used to run around with some top-notch people. That's including like Dan Gilbert, the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Oh damn!
I used to.
That's how he roll.
I have a real diverse background because I ran around with the Cavs for about 2 years. I was doing media. I was doing the media.
Like PR.
Yeah, post game interviews.
Okay.
Right. So after the games.
Oh, so you were on Air Talent?
Yeah, I mean, you would hear my voice in the background.
Nice.
Like if you was on the stage, like you would hear me talking.
Yeah.
Right? So I used to talk to the players. I used to be in locker rooms, things of that nature. So, yeah, I did a lot with the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's when LeBron, Shaq, Delonte West, all those guys were there. I've been to every NBA arena in the country
Oh, wow. Nice.
because of them. Yeah, including summer league.
That's what I tell people. I was like, there's no place like Atlanta. Like, to have that type of exposure and you still like, Atlanta's for me. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not that cold outside, right? And in Cleveland, it's freezing up there right now, right? And it's always cold, right? I'm a jacket guy. I've been that way all my life. I got so many jackets. I'm like, man, it's already warm. I ain't will have the stuff I want to wear.
Can't even bring out your winter weather.
Can't pull the tags off this stuff, man. Like, golly, it's like, come on, man, give me a couple more cold days so I can put something on. So it's that type of stuff.
Well, like they say, we have a false winter, like in April or something. It's gonna get real cold randomly. So keep them ready.
Yeah, I definitely will.
Yeah.
So what's next with the Wanzo Way and all that you got going on? What's the big picture there?
Well, the mission and the vision is to build a one-stop shop, right? And what I mean by a one-stop shop, let's give you the ability to learn and digest about personal credit, business credit, funding, and investing into real estate, right? So it gives you the actual ability to understand where you're going, why you're going, and how to get there, right? Without just no education at all, right? So we're teaching you how to do that, right? Even if you don't want to get into the real estate piece, what is it that you want to get into, right? Because we have a tax service that we just implemented now, so we can actually get you guys involved. And if you need tax services, we can do that as well. And we're trying to make it so that if you want to do better, we're doing our part to help you, give you some of the necessary tools you need in order to get there and get it done. Right?
Yes.
And also the ability to access funding without being stressed out and not guessing, if I'm doing the right thing, right? You have to know what you need in order to get what you're looking for. So we want to make sure that you understand the fundamentals of what you need to elevate to the next level of the game. So that's the whole vision of the Wanzo Way.
So like a 360 approach.
Yeah.
Are you a busy corporate professional looking to generate some extra passive income without taking on a second job? Or you're just an individual who's tired of having too much months at the end of their money and not money at the end of their month? What if I told you there was a way that you could generate a 6-figure cash flow machine off other people's properties that you don't even own in 7 steps? So for those who don't know, my name is Errol J. Allen. I've been a full-time short-term / mid-terminal operator for the past 6 years. And I show people how to generate explosive amounts of passive income with other people's properties that they don't even own. And what I've done is I decided to take those 6 years worth of experience, strategy, trials and tribulations, and boil it all together into one simple ebook called Getting Paid Away, the 7 steps to building your 6-figure Airbnb portfolio. So if you want to grab a copy of it, all you gotta do is click the link right here, get your copy, get the information, and make 2025 the best year and beyond.
In the 5 years, you talked about having that 5-year plan. What do you see yourself in 5 years? Like, knowing that you went on this route to free yourself from corporate dependence, what does life look like in the next 5 years? Like, this is 2025. What does 2030 look like?
A lot of partnerships with people, right? A lot of partnerships, a lot of other projects that we're going to do in regards to investments and things of that nature. So when I'm on a yacht, I'm not on a yacht by myself. There's Earl on the other yacht right next to me because he has his own. You know what I'm saying?
LeBron could be there. Yeah.
It's just us. We the ones that came up together. We got to stick together, right?
Yeah.
So my whole vision is to not be selfish, right? Let's all grow together because unity is important to me. If you're around me, then you grow with me. That's the way it is, right? And like I said, if I got a yacht, then he's not on mine. He's on his. So we got to talk through a telephone.
Yeah. Got to go to Yacht Week. That's a whole new, we pull up Yacht Week with our own yachts.
Yeah. So one of my visions I always had, I used to tell one guy that we both used to deal with, I won't mention his name, but I wanted us to be looking like the U.S. Navy on the water.
Yeah.
But it's us just on our boats.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's powerful.
Yeah. So just all be successful and live life.
So I know you have, because we have a very similar train of thought, but what for people who may not share that same train of thought per se, what would be some books or works that can help mold or shape when it comes to mastering the money game?
Well, I mean, there's a book out there called Credit Mastery, I think it is, right? And it tells you some of the key components about credit, right? And how to understand it. Like, did you know you can put you can actually use your name and as a business?
Someone said that. They said you should incorporate your name, and every time somebody sends you a bill using your name, they need to pay you. I think I heard that.
Well, they're going to pay you in a sense, but now that name is really a corporation, right?
Yeah.
But now your name has credit to it, right? So now you're building up. Like if you get a light bill, well, that light bill is business credit, right?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
You get what I'm saying? So it's different things like that you will learn from these books, right? To help elevate what you're looking to do. And the most biggest thing I can always ask somebody to do is get on a mentor, right? Because information you read and she reads the same information, y'all might digest it differently, right? You might read into it differently, right? And so when you have a mentor, somebody who's been through the ups and downs, the grind, and they've made the mistakes for you, it's totally different. Hey, don't do this because of this, right?
Yeah.
And I'm one guy, like, I'm very descriptive with things, right? If I tell you don't do something, if you look at my lives I did with Herman, if I tell you don't do something, I'm going to tell you why not to do it, not just don't do it. If I ask you to do something, I'm going to tell you why to do it, right? If someone can't explain that to you, then that's not the mentor for you. So I think mentorships are very important, right? And learn how to invest into yourself. Don't be cheap, right? People always want to, gravitate to you when you're on a certain level, but don't want to invest in themselves after you've invested hundreds of $1,000s into yourself, including your own time, right? That's one of the struggles that block people from being successful, because they'll go out and buy Louis Vuitton, red bottoms, Gucci, but when it comes to, hey, man, I charge you $5,000 to teach you this. I ain't paying $5,000 for that, but you got a Chanel purse, right? But the $5,000 you spend with somebody, like in my mentorship, I tell you, I'm going to show you how to think like an underwriter, right? And once I show you how to think like an underwriter, then I'm going to give you an understanding of how to get over $300,000 in business funding.
Yeah.
That's not worth $5,000 to you. Come on, man.
Just the tagline alone got me. Think like an underwriter? Oh, shoot, what?
Yeah.
You got to understand what they're looking for.
Yep.
And when you find out what they're looking for, give it to them. You understand what I'm saying? Give it to them. These all make sense. I ain't saying do nothing fraudulent. No, don't get it twisted. I ain't saying do nothing fraudulent. All I'm saying is understand what's required.
Yeah.
Right? And put yourself in position to give them what they need. Maybe I should say that better, right? Put yourself in position to give them what they need. Work up to that space, right? If that's what you're looking for. But you can't work on, if you don't know what you're looking for, what you need to work on, what direction you got to go off of?
Yeah.
Don't mud up the wall.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I had a guy the other day. I said, hey, man, go into this particular bank and open up a bank account. That's all I said. Go into the bank, open up this bank account. What did he do? Come back and says, hey, man, I went to the bank and I just went on to apply for the card right there. So now you're trying to backdoor me because you wouldn't have been in that bank without me, right? Okay, what happened? I got approved right there. So you can send me my deposit back. Okay, no problem. How much you get approved for? $7,000 when I could have got you $60,000.
And then what kind of car you going to get for $7,000?
Card.
Oh, okay. Okay, I thought you meant car.
I got $7,000 when I could have got you $60,000.
Wow.
Just lost $53K.
Just wait, right? Not just $60,000 on one card, but I was going to set you up for 2 cards. So you'd have got $120,000 and you sitting up there with $7,000
and happy.
And then you crying to me about a punk $500 that you put down as a deposit. Bro, you can have that $500. Kick rocks. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's idiotic stuff like that don't make sense.
Yeah. Follow
right?
direction.
Because all you had to do is do what I asked you to do, and then you'd have been well off. Not well off, but you'd have been in a better position. Yeah. I had a young lady. She said, hey, I'm going to apply for this card. Now, she was in my mentorship. I said, don't do it. She said, why? I said, because I'm right here. You hired me as your mentor. Why would you listen to somebody else? I said, who'd you get this information from? She said the person's name. I won't say it on it, right? I said, okay, well, if you're going to listen to them, why didn't you hire them as your mentor, right? You see the capital that I'm getting these people, right? And as I mentioned before to the young lady that was here about the grants, I prove what I'm talking about. Everybody knows that. So if you know what I'm capable of doing, why would you take information from my... Go ahead, do it. Enjoy yourself. Right? Comes back, following week. You apply? Yes. How'd it work out? Face ain't too happy. How much you get? $3,000. When I could have got you 60.
Some people gotta feel.
I know. Some people got to learn lessons
Some
the
people
hard
gotta
way.
feel. That's what my grandfather said. Some people don't learn. They gotta feel.
But then they get excited about the 3,000, the 7,000. Like, imagine how excited
Man,
you
I
would have
ain't
been
getting it.
about
I
the
ain't
six
getting it.
figures.
They weren't excited.
I ain't no. Listen, we ain't get excited about $3,000 over here.
And like you said, because the inquiry already hit, so it's not like you can go back and backtrack that.
Exactly.
But like you said, the time period though, because it's not the 30 to 45 days where a report, so you still got time. Or you just like the principal?
Those are particular banks I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
This is not the bank.
Okay, so you can't. Okay, gotcha.
No, she's screwed. You know what I mean? So it's just, listen, what I was taught in college is this. Listening is a very powerful tool. A lot of times I listen more than I talk. And if you let people talk, guess what? They're telling themselves. But everybody can't do that, right? Like some people call me for a one-on-one consultation call, or I'm trying to help them with funding. Now, like the guy that called to offer me the money. I said, if I needed money, I'd have called you. You calling me. So some of the people that call me, they're like rattling off at the mouth. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, hold on. Let me tell you this. And blah, 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 blah. Well, hold on. I'm just trying to tell you, Wanzo. Listen, did you call me to
a therapy session?
Yeah, to
vent.
Sometimes you need that, though.
If you want to do that, I can sit here and listen, but I'm not going to give you what you're looking for. Because what you're going to do is end up jeopardizing your situation, and I'm not going to have the time to give you the information that's going to be beneficial to you. Because this is going to be more detrimental than anything, right? You're talking, but you called and paid for a guy to talk to. So you should let him talk, right? Because a lot of times, if you don't take out the time to digest the information that I got to give you, then you just wasted my time and yours.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And they'll be like, well, I just want to tell you this. I want to tell you that. I'm like, I don't want to hear it, right? And the reason why I want to hear it, because it's not beneficial to you. Let me ask you what I need to know. And then you respond. Don't tell me a bunch of stuff that I don't need to know. Because now we just sitting up here, and I'm on the other end of the phone like, yeah, listen to this. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, and they're just, I'm talking about rattling. And I don't drink that much, but I'll be having shot glasses right there. I'm like, you know what? Let me
knock one back real quickly.
You know what I mean? I'm like, are you serious?
It'd be the people where you ask a question and then they gotta give you the story before the answer to your question.
Not just the story.
I'm that person. You need to understand the context.
Not just the story. The life story.
Yeah.
When they was born, at 15 they had a black toenail. You know, I'm like, dude, that's
answer the question.
That's not applicable to what I'm trying to get out of you.
Answer the question that was asked.
Because I'm a very effective and efficient type of person, right? I don't like to waste my time. I told Errol, I'm like, you did say 7 o'clock, right? You did say 7, right? You see what I'm saying? So I'm like, I could have been doing something else if it was 7:30, you know? So it's just, I hate to waste my time. Because, see, have you ever lost something before?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
Did you get it back?
Not all the time.
But you have lost something that you got back before, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We all have. But one thing we can't get back is time.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't play with it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I take that very seriously, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, these people, they shouldn't have been wasting my time. And they're wasting their time too. Because if you want to sit up here and just talk to me and you don't want me to say nothing, go get a crash dummy.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna say
well,
nothing.
ChatGPT can talk with you now.
Yeah. So I just like to be beneficial at the end of the day. That's all I'm saying, right? If you come into my space and you ask me something, I want the ability to kind of help you, right? If you don't give me that by yapping off all day, then, you know, I'm going to get frustrated and leave.
So how can people find your services? And I know, you know, like you said, we had somebody else in here and they were able to quickly find out, you know, if they were applicable to work with you or not. Like, how can people, you know, find your information?
Well, they can definitely reach me on, they can find me on IG, right? It's _Wanzo. So that's _WANZO. But go to my website, right, or my funnel. It's thewanzoway.com. Thewanzoway.com. So that's TheWanzoWay.com. WanzoWay.com. And they can find all my information there in regards to setting up to book a call with me to join my mentorship. And I also have a free school community that you can join and learn some financial literacy, right? I'm giving that to you guys as a gift. And, so that's where they can locate me at.
Yeah.
Leave no room for misinterpretation. He spelled the whole website out. He said T to the H to the E.
I just want them to be able to find me if they're looking for me.
With no excuses.
So many people that I've been looking for you for the last 2 weeks. Well, did you wipe your glasses out? Because I ain't nothing.
What Deion Sanders say? I ain't hard to find.
Yeah.
I ain't hard to find.
So I mean, and it's good that people want to find you. I think that's kind of cool because they really look into how you help people. That's like when I walk into places, they were like, "You that guy Wanzo, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." Like, I follow you, man, so much, man. I learned a lot from you.
Yeah.
Like, and they put that in my in my DMs and sending other people, and then they follow me. They tag me in their stories, and like I did a call last night. You guys need to join. Like it'd be good stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And I did a call last night, and we helped a lot of people with that stuff, so they was pretty happy, and it was free. So
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what's the most challenging part about helping people?
helping them,
I was literally thinking the same thing. I was like, getting them out their own way.
helping them. For example, right now I just started this school group, right? But I have 167 people in there already. Right. Last night it was probably about 50-some people in there. You getting free game, and you can't click a link to jump into the community. So how bad do you want to help yourself is the question, right? How bad do you want to help yourself, right? Because you probably was watching basketball, watching football, out on a date, smoking hookah, broke as I don't know what. But yet instead, a guy like me is right here saying, hey, click the link, jump in. We're going to try to help address some of your major concerns in regards to your credit. And this is just educational piece, right? And if you need access to me on a one-on-one, here's a link to book a one-on-one call with me. Here's a link to my mentorship and other services that we have available.
It's like what Neo said, people who don't pay attention.
Yeah.
I was doing free short-term rental workshops. No, not even the short-term rental workshop. Wholesale stuff.
Wholesale.
Yeah, I was
Yep.
doing the
Yep.
wholesale
Yep.
stuff for free for 2 years.
Yep. And we paid thousands. Well, I paid $1,000s for the education. You said no and got it for cheaper, but we paid thousands of dollars. We paid thousands of dollars for that wholesale education we were giving away for free.
Yeah.
2 whole years I was doing for free. I mean, there were some people who took it and ran with it, but it's the ones who once I start charging, now people are, okay, this is a thing.
Yeah.
Well, you want the serious people anyway, right?
Yeah.
So the school group that I have is free, right? But it also gives me the opportunity to have a repository of people that's paying attention to me.
Yeah.
I have their attention, right? You had to find out about me in one way, shape, or form, right? And now if you jump in here, now I can not only help you, but I can also offer you my services, right? Because you know what I'm capable of doing based upon the things that you may need. There's so many people that, Wanzo, I want to get funded. Okay, how's your credit?
Can never get a straight answer. It's always the story or the
you
body
gotta
language or the
Whatever somebody hit the
when you hit the sounds. I was like, that's not a word. What was you trying to say?
You know what I mean?
But you get it.
Yeah, so it's like let's get you in position,
Yeah.
right? Get a position. And once you get a position, you know how to operate, where to go. Mm-hmm. I gave somebody an example the other day. I don't know if I said this on the podcast the other day, but I said, think about a quarterback. He knows all the plays. He knows where all his players are at, right? You know, the receiver at, you know, tight end at, you know, the running back at, and he also knows where they're going on the field. Well, you need to be that quarterback when it comes to financial institutions. Know where the bank's at, what they offer, when they offering it, why they offering it, and why you need it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And so when you get ready to throw the ball, right? Like we was talking about, what's your process of doing business funding? I said I got the biggest purchase first. Well, that's me throwing the ball. right? Or handed it off to a fullback or something, right? Because that was my heaviest purchase, right, that I was going to do in the beginning. But I knew what I was going to do and who I was going to do it with. Now, the next play, I went and got lines of credit. Now I went stretched out. I went to a receiver. See what I'm saying? I'm throwing the ball around, but I know where to go, why to go, and who to throw it to. It's all timing, right? It's all timing. Because if you time it right, some of these things are not going to show up on your credit report. You can have like $200,000 in credit already that ain't popped on your credit report, and you still getting at it, right? So it's all timing and understanding. So I tell people, understand strategy. Understand what a quarterback position is and be that quarterback and be able to throw the ball to where you need it to be successful.
I love it. How receptive is your family on the financial education? Because sometimes you have to go outside of your immediate circle for people to actually listen and hear.
So my immediate family?
Yeah.
They listen to me.
Okay.
Yeah, they listen. See, I am a person that lead by example. I've always been that way, right? I've never been a person that say, hey, go do this, and I didn't do it, right? I'm always the person that goes, this is what I've done, this is what you need to do, and this is why you need to do it, right? If you want what I have, this is the steps I took to do it. So if they want to live a little bit better life and have a little bit more stress in regards to financial literacy, knowing how to walk into a bank and have a conversation with somebody, then they'll listen.
Yeah.
But my brother, my older brother, not so much. Right?
I was like, it's always that one.
Not so much. Not so much. I literally, I wouldn't lie to you guys. I wouldn't lie to you guys. So listen.
I ain't gonna lie.
I literally had to trick my brother to help him. You ever had a family member that's just think you want to be in their business? That you trying to compare yourself to them? Things of that nature, right? So my brother thought that I was just trying to be in this business. And I was just trying to educate him, right? Because we both, we grew up same household. So if one knew something, more than likely the other one did, right? But my brother never was really, really committed to school like I was, right? And although I was committed to school, I still didn't have the opportunity to learn a financial piece that I know today, right? And unfortunately, my mom passed away, right? So I'm saying to myself, I know all this information now. We about to ride, right? We out. Like, we about to get to it. I'm trying to tell my brother about financial literacy, about credit, things of that nature. I went over his house one time. I said, man, he had a Cadillac. I said, how much you pay for that car? Man, why you all in my business asking me questions, man?
Okay.
Like, so hostile, right? Just saying, I pay like, about $700, something like that. I said, yeah, man, you need to let me show you how to change that. What you gonna do? How you gonna show me something? This, that, and other. I said, well, he was just real. He wasn't receptive at all. So I said, you pay $700 for that car, right? How would you like to pay $300? Then his dog ears went up. You know what I'm saying? Well, what you mean? Now I got his attention, right? I'm saying to myself, I'm trying to give you a gift for free. Something that I actually paid for with my time and my money. I'm giving it to you for free. I prepare my brother's credit for free. I pay for everything for him, right? Just to show him and enlighten him on what I'm talking about is real, right? And so once I got his credit together, I say, now go refinance that car. And here's the bank to go refinance it to. And this is probably more than likely what your note's going to be. You ever seen a grown man cry? Man. I'm like, dude, I'm your brother.
Well, he was fighting it. And I can probably attest because I have a younger brother too. Not that I'm saying all older brothers are like this, but it's probably because he is your older brother.
I know.
And so because
and you're
of
the
that,
baby. I'm the baby.
Yeah, he looks at you like you'll never know more than me, or
I've been here longer than you.
It's an unfortunate paradox. I get it.
It's bad because we was always compared to, right? That's what it was.
Yeah,
and we was always compared to, and I ain't care nothing about that. I'm like, man, I love you, my brother. You know what I'm saying? I ain't comparing myself to you. Other people trying to do that. But I can't stop being who I am because you're somebody.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's what it was. But the funny thing about it, right? So I done told him about inquiries and APRs and loans and lines of
Put
credit.
him on game.
So he's like, yeah, I went in the bank. And I wanted to apply for this loan. I said, okay, what happened? And I asked him, well, how many inquiries I'm going to get? So now I know about inquiries, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, so
You're learning.
Yeah, I know. It teaches something.
finally hit home when that pocket started changing, huh? You know, I just damn it shoves down your throat, man. You know what I mean? So it was all good. It was a beautiful thing. It was a great feeling for me.
Yeah.
That's what I can tell you. It was a great feeling for me because he actually listened, and he ended up. This is the thing. He ended up doing very well. He ended up buying he's a truck driver, so he ended up buying his own truck. He ended up getting a house. You know, he ended up understanding credit better, and his credit score was like 780. He just kept paying his bills on time. You know what I mean? I got him a couple other credit cards. Doing well. He's doing real well.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So that was life changing. I was pretty much proud about that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's proud. I love it when stories like that come full circle.
So if you ever need a sign, fix your credit. Now's the time.
Wait, that kind of rhymed a little bit. No,
I did that
Okay.
on purpose. Yes,
Okay.
I did. It popped in my mind, so I just wanted to throw it out.
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
But
yeah.
Wanzo, man, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. For
Yeah, this has been very insightful.
Thank
I
you
love
for
how
having
you
me.
broke it down.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you guys taking out the time to come into your podcast. Hopefully your viewers get something out of this and they fix their credit.
I was like, even if they
Come
don't,
get
I'm
some business
rewatching it.
funding.
And if you didn't already know, the wanzoway.com. Check it out.
Yes, be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of All Things Entrepreneur. Be sure to like, subscribe. You see all the free information that we give in the game and the people that you can go to get mentorship and guidance of how to get funding. You enjoyed today's episode?
Of course.
Yes. It's very powerful.
Of course, I know we got value from it, so I know you're going to get some, so take action on it. And with that being said,
As always, you got it. Let's get it.
Let's go.
go.